Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. Today's show is all about apples. It's my favorite time of the year, autumn season. That's season for picking apples, and that's season for baking with apples, and it's the greatest thing to eat apples around this time of the year because that's when they are the freshest, the best, the sweetest. In today's show, I'll be making apple pie, upside down apple muffins, and apple cake. You find all these recipes in my dessert cookbook, A Baking Journey. We'll start off by making the crust for the apple pie. For this recipe, I need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. That's gonna go in a bowl of a food processor. One teaspoon of sugar goes in the mix. 1 teaspoon of salt. We'll pulse all the ingredients to mix. Great. I have 2 sticks of cold unsalted butter that I sliced in about 1/2 inch slices. This will go to the mix while the machine is running. So just add pieces. You want to make sure the butter is cold. That will create a flaky dough. We'll just keep adding the slices of the butter while the machine is running. We'll mix all the butter slices into the flour until everything is nicely blended, and it's going to resemble a coarse meal, almost like sand looking mixture. So this looks good. Now to this, I have some ice water here. While the machine is running, I'll add 1/4 cup of ice to 1/2 cup. We'll see how much we need. We will know if it's ready. So we'll start off by adding only 1/4 cup of ice water. We will make sure everything is cold. And we'll keep watching it. See if we need to add more water. We want the mixture to form a nice stiff dough. I think we need to add another 1/4 cup of cold ice water. Now all the ingredients are coming together and they form into a stiff dough. We'll transfer the dough into a parchment paper. Look how beautiful. You still see bits of butter in the dough, and this is exactly what we are looking for. The bits of butter in the dough, it's going to give it a nice flaky texture. And this is how pies should be anyway. It needs to be nice and flaky and almost buttery. We'll divide our dough into 2 equal portions. We will form each one into a smooth disc and wrap it with a saran wrap. We will flatten it a little bit more. And we'll wrap the other half of dough. With saran wrap. Flatten it. Now our dough is ready to go in the fridge for about 1 hour. While we are waiting for the pie crust to cool off, it should sit in the fridge for about an hour to hour and a half or even overnight. So we will prepare now the filling for our apple pie. I'm using Granny Smith apples. Look how beautiful these apples are. These are tart apples. They are hard and they are the best one for baking. So anytime you're baking with apples, Granny Smith will be the best choice that you can use. So what I would do is I will use this gadget to core out the apples, the seed and everything. Look how easy this works. So we do the same thing for all the apples. Around this time of the year, you see many varieties of apples. Just in the United States by itself, there are 2,500 kinds of apples. They come in different sizes, different colors. They are red, green, yellow. Some of them are sweet, some of them are tart, and they are used for many reasons. Some of them for baking, some of them just to eat as a food, or some of them just to make applesauce out of them. But Granny Smith, again, it's the best one that's well known. It's green in color and it is beautiful for baking. These are fairly large apples, so I'll be using about 8 to 9 of them. Perfect. Now, what we do is we will peel the entire apple using a vegetable peeler. Much easier to use a vegetable peeler. Apples are very healthy for you. They have each apple, depending of course on the size, has 5 grams of fiber, has vitamin A and D. And of course, we all heard about how an apple a day will keep a doctor away. I think it's true because apples are very healthy for you. It's a great snack to have in between meals. It fills you up and it has a lot of nutrition. I'm peeling these apples now for the apple pie, but when I'm eating an apple, I will eat it with the skin on. That's where all the nutritions are. We'll cut it in half. And then make sure there are no more seeds left in there. Want to make sure we'll core everything that we need to core from the apple. And this is a great device to remove everything that's had left from coring that apple. We'll slice it into maybe about 12 slices, each half, and then go in the bowl. About a quarter of an inch thickness slices. Are being sliced. Now I have a large skillet that I will heat 4 tablespoons of butter, which is about half stick. In the meantime, while we are waiting for the butter to melt, we will mix half teaspoon of ground cinnamon. granulated sugar, half cup of brown sugar, mix everything well to blend. Now I'll add half amount of apple slices to the skillet, about 4 to 5 apples, sliced apples. Saute until soft. To this I'll add half of the amount of the sugar and cinnamon mixture. To this I'll add half teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm using this amazing vanilla. It's the greatest vanilla extract. It comes in a vanilla extract in a liquid, and also it comes in beans. And this is really good quality vanilla beans and vanilla extract. The beans smell so good, and they are so soft and so fresh, and they are wonderful. If you want to ever buy vanilla beans or vanilla extract, pay attention to the company name. It's called Vanilla. You can find them on website or on specialty stores also. Love this one. Keep sauteing the apples. Smells so good. Oh, this vanilla is amazing. Now I will remove the skillet from the heat and then add 3 tablespoons of brandy. We want to keep it away from the flame because this is alcohol, might cause some fire. And then we'll return it back to the heat. We'll cook it for a minute or so for the apples to caramelize and the apples to become golden and kind of soft, not too soft because we're gonna cook them in the oven. Now for this, I will add 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. And we'll let it cook. Until the syrup is thick and the apples are kind of tender. Maybe for 2 to 3 more minutes. Look how beautiful the apples are. They're nice and golden. The syrup is very thick. I will transfer them to this bowl. How beautiful is the caramel. And now we will repeat all these steps with the remaining half of the apples. So again, I'll be using 4 tablespoons of butter. We'll let it melt. To this, we'll add the remaining sliced apples. There are way so many apples, there was no way we can have all of them fit in the large skillet, even though it's too large. So that's why we are doing them in 2 batches. Now I will add the remaining sugar and cinnamon mixture. vanilla brand name I love so much. We'll keep stirring. Want to make sure all the slices are coated with the sugar and the butter, so they'll be nice and caramelized. And then we'll add 3 tablespoons of brandy. Doesn't matter what the brand name, anything that you have around the house. You don't want to go out of your way to buy the best quality. I usually use this brand, it's good for baking. And again, for safety, we had to remove it from the stove because it has alcohol in it. We don't want to end up with any burning skillet. Saute it for a minute or so. And then lastly but not least, we'll add another 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Just gonna make it nice and thick and creamy. And continue cooking for 2 more minutes until forms a thick syrup and the apples are golden and caramelized. This looks great. It's beautiful. Look how syrup. Nice thick syrup. Thick. And now we'll transfer the apple slices to the first batch, and this is our filling for our pie. Amazing, of course. We'll set it on the side to cool off for a few minutes. The pie crust has been sitting in the fridge for over an hour, actually about hour and 15 minutes, so it's beautiful, it's nice and cool, and it should be easy for us to roll out. So what I would do is I will remove the saran wrap. I will dust the work surface with some flour. And we will roll out our pie crust. What a beautiful looking pie crust. Looks so flaky. You still see bits of butter on the crust, and this is exactly how we want it. That's how it's gonna give us a flaky pie. When you still see pieces of butter visible on the crust. I'm using this large pie dish. Look how beautiful. It's fairly large, so we want to make sure we'll roll out the dough into the right diameter. Keep dusting the dough with some flour. The spatula in case. I believe this should be good. We will transfer the dough to the pie dish by the aid of the dough opener. Like that. Perfect. And we will try to fit it into the pie dish. We want to make sure it should be large enough to go all the way to the edges. Set this on the side now, and we will roll out the second piece of dough.
size. This is gonna go on top of the filling. The dough is nice and cold, and this is exactly how it should be. Easy for us to roll. If you find the dough a little bit hot and it's hard and it's sticking on the work board, you can put it in the fridge for a few more minutes to cool off. Try to stretch it a little bit more. You just want to make sure. Of course, at this point, you can make any design that you want. You can cut out some leaves, or you can just like make some slits on that. But I have this beautiful pie top, apple pie top actually, that has a large apple, small apples that I will use. It's beautiful. So it's gonna give us nice design, and this will do is it's gonna let all the steam escape from the pie while it's cooking. So what I would do is I'll just center it and press on the dough. Should come out beautiful. Look at these beautiful little apples. So beautiful. And we will remove all these little apples. It's gonna give us nice design. Shapes of small apples, large apples. That's perfect. Now what I would do is I will transfer all the apple filling to the pie. You want to get these pieces back in here. Perfect. We want to spread it evenly and do the pie dish. Perfect. I will transfer the top over the filling. And we try to center it. There we go. There we go. How beautiful does this look? This looks amazing. And now what we would do is we will just tuck in all the hanging pieces under to seal with the bottom piece. And you notice that the pie dish is already crumpled, so we're just gonna use the same edges, so it will give us that effect. We will whisk an egg yolk with some heavy whipping cream, about 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon to probably 1 tablespoon, and whisk it until nicely mixed. Looks good. And then we will brush the entire top with this mixture. This is gonna give it a beautiful sheen, and it's gonna make it nice and golden. What a beautiful looking pie. I can't wait to bake it and have a slice. This is so beautiful. Perfect. Now this will go in the fridge for about 30 minutes to cool off. We will remove it from the fridge and set it in this baking dish, just in case we have some liquid coming out. And then I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees. We'll bake the pie for 30 minutes. The pie has been cooking in the oven for 30 minutes. Look how gorgeous and beautiful it looks. It's amazing. Now, what I would do is, I will cover the crust with some parchment paper and loosely cover it with some foil, and we'll let it cook for 10 to 12 more minutes. The reason why I'm covering it with parchment paper and foil is because we don't want the crust to burn without the pie inside being still cooked. So like that, we're gonna prevent the crust from burning, and we wanna make sure the pie is cooked through. Check on our pie. See how it's doing. Those are beautiful. We'll remove it. We'll set it on the side to cool off for about 20 to 30 minutes before slicing. Now it's time for us to make the upside down apple muffins. These are great muffins to have. They're so healthy, they're so great, and they make nice breakfast with coffee. So for this recipe, I will need 3 baking apples. I will use a Granny Smith. I will use a Gala apple, and maybe another Granny Smith. So what I would do is, first of all, I will use this device to core the apple to get rid of the stem and the seeds. Perfect. And we'll do the same thing for all the apples. If you don't have this device, you can just cut the apple in half and then try to scoop out all the seeds and the stem. Set this on the side, and now I will peel the apples. Look how beautiful. Look at the colors on these apples. So beautiful. It smells so good. I love Gala apple. They're very sweet and they are firm, so they are good for baking. And they always have multiple colors. The red and the green is so great. Of course, you can use all Granny Smith. You could use any other baking apple. As long as they are nice and firm for baking, it doesn't matter what kind you use. Also, Fiji apple are very popular in the United States too. They are great apples. They're more sweet than sour. And now what I will do is I will dice up the apples into small cubes. Try scoop any seeds that I missed and any peel that I missed. This looks good. Dice them up into about maybe 1-inch cubes, just like that. Set them on the side. In the meantime, I have 4 tablespoons of butter that I'm heating in the skillet until it's melted. Now we'll add all the apple pieces. into the skillet. Stir. Into this, I'll add 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Stir until the apples are caramelized and it will form a thick glaze. 2 to 3 minutes. Now we will add 1 cup of chopped walnuts. Look how beautiful the apples are, the beautiful golden color, and look how thick the glaze is. You almost can't see it, and this is exactly how we want it. We'll turn the heat off and let it sit to cool off. In the meantime, we will line the muffin pans with paper liner. I like using the paper liner. You don't have to brush the pan with any oil or butter. It's really, really easy. And then even when handling the muffins, it's nice to have them in the liner. So I think I should have enough for 24 of them. I have 12 on each. If you don't want to use paper liner, you need to brush every single one of the muffin pan with some butter or oil or even non-spray pan. Now I will divide the apple mixture into the prepared muffin pan inside the paper liner. We'll divide them evenly. And make sure we have pieces of apple with the walnuts inside each one of them. We have all our mixture divided in between all the muffins evenly. Now we'll set them on the side to cool off. Now we are ready to make the batter that goes on top of the apples and walnuts for the upside down muffins. So what we need is, we need 1.5 cups actually of all-purpose flour. That's gonna go in a mixing bowl. We will put all the dry ingredients first. 1 cup of semolina flour, it's a granule flour. We need 2 tablespoons of baking powder. You notice we're using 2 tablespoons of baking powder because we are using semolina flour. It doesn't rise as quick as if we were using just regular flour. And the semolina flour, it's gonna give it a beautiful texture, a nice crunch to our muffins. And now I need 2/3 cups of sugar. Perfect. We'll whisk all the dry ingredients together to blend. We'll add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and then 1 stick half cup of unsalted butter, softened to room temperature. Two large eggs that I will crack in a cup just in case. And lastly but not least, 1.5 cups of milk. We'll keep whisking until everything is nicely blended. We'll scrape the sides to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. And we'll keep whisking until we have nice and smooth batter. Check our batter. Looks beautiful, nice and silky and real smooth. Now we will divide our batter equally between the muffin cups on top of the apple and walnut. Now we just want to tap them a little bit, make sure they are evenly distributed. I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. We'll bake the muffins in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check on our muffin. Look how gorgeous they look. We'll insert a wooden score in the center. It comes out clean. That means they are cooked. Look how beautiful. Smells so good. What a nice color, golden brown. We'll set them on the side to cool off slightly. Now it's time for us to make the apple cake. Before we start anything, I have brushed an 8-inch square pan with some oil, and I will line a piece of parchment paper on the bottom and we'll set it on the side. For this recipe, I will mix all the dry ingredients in a small bowl. So I need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. We'll whisk them until nicely blended. We'll mix the wet ingredients. For this we need 1 cup of sugar that will go in a bowl of an electric mixer, half cup, 1 stick of melted butter, until nice and fluffy. I need to crack 3 large eggs in a bowl. We'll add the eggs one at a time and we'll keep mixing. And gradually I'll add the flour mixture. Scrape the sides. Want to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. Okay, the batter is smooth, it's shiny, and it's really good. To this, I have chopped 2 large Granny Smith apples. That's gonna go in the mix. And 1 cup chopped walnuts. Mix everything until nicely incorporated. This is going to be a great cake. It's going to be nice and moist and crunchy from the walnuts. Perfect. Now we'll spoon the cake into the prepared pan. We will spread it evenly into the pan for an even cooking. I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees. We'll bake the cake in the oven for 35 to 45 minutes. Check on our cake. Beautiful, smells amazing, how golden and beautiful, and pieces of apples. We'll set it on the side to cool off for a few minutes. Today's show was all about apples. Look what a beautiful things we made using our apples. We made this gorgeous apple pie. We made upside down apple muffins. We made apple cake. You find all these recipes in my cookbook, A Baking Journey. Thank you so much for coming to my kitchen. We hope to see you next time with more exotic dishes.